Alrighty. How's it going, everybody? Give everybody just a second to hop on here. Just 1 second. What? Yeah. You can't hear me? I was just whispering, so that may be why you were not able to hear me. Log out and then log back in, and it should let you do it. Been disconnected. Okay, so we should be screen sharing here. All right, so let me do something really quick. One second, sorry guys. Okay, down. Okay, down. All right, I'm just sharing this really quick, and then we'll get right to it. Sorry about that. $5.25. What was that stock? Hanging Man. What was the... Damn, I just forgot that. That's not it. No, I've done forgot. There it is, PR Pie. All right, I'm ready to go now. Okay, so right off the bat, as always, we're going to go ahead and get started with our news. Just kind of recap over the day, get an idea of where we're sitting. I think we got everybody on Discord. If you guys really want to see my face, I'm also on YouTube right now, so I haven't figured out how to do that on Discord yet. How to like insert my face, but okay. So let's go over basically the entire market. So as far as SPY, NASDAQ, Russell, and the Dow, SPY is down 0.2% after hours. NASDAQ down 0.3 or 0.3, barely anything at all, holding up relatively well. The Russell back 9.9% essentially, and then you have the Dow down to 0.24%. So I don't see screen. Do I need to YouTube? Oh, hold on one second. I literally thought I shared it, but I guess it's not. There you go. All right. So anyway, so let's go over as we go over this news. We're gonna go over where we're at on the charts. Excuse me. In correlation, kind of like where everything is moving. I'm not quite sure. So starting with the Russell, it looks as if we had this daily downtrend, right, that we talked about last time. We broke that. Today, it looks like, as a matter of fact, let me correct this on the daily here. So it looks like the Russell slammed into this previous support on that time frame. So let me go look at the hourly here. Yep, so that's exactly what that is right there. Basically the Russell is pushed itself back down. It's kind of in this wedge sort of deal. So here's the deal: anything Russell related is going to have you're gonna need to see a break to either side, to either direction on the Russell, because it's so tightly consolidated. That's a mistake that I made today with certain, after about 10 o'clock, space was trapped and really tightly consolidated, and so were the ETFs, and that's why we ended up having that pullback and just chop. It was actually really crazy. You go look at this space is 5 minute, just awful. So that's down 2% is SPY. Not the best looking daily candle. Hold on one second. But I've seen worse. Let me pull this down a little bit. Okay, so we have this broken downtrend, right? That we're still on support for SPY, from what I can tell. Still above the 9-day moving average, still above the 20-day moving average. Let me go see what the hourly looks like here. Go tighten this up. It's always good. That's why I like to do this on this time frame, so that way I can get a better idea. So if we are looking down here, yeah, market makers definitely shook us around. So it was good. It's good that I walked away because it just continued. So. Okay, so if we're paying attention to this support on SPY, obviously well-respected support here, you'll see that we have actually broken downtrend. So what would a fake out look like tomorrow? More than likely, I've seen this before, we would likely go up, right? Hit this, right? Because you see that's the today's high. That would put us up against that downtrend, and then we could immediately reverse. So that's one of the dangers here. And then the 200-day moving average sitting at basically 450, I'd say 415.40. That's going to be the first stop on that hourly time frame. Of course, you have the 417.76 support. I recommend setting an alert there. 417.50 is another good spot to set an alert. And I think at that point, if we see volume to the downside, there's definitely a lot of room to run that way. And seeing that we broke downtrend, obviously there's still the possibility you break and hold. So at the bell, really opening up, I would imagine if we gap up, right, that could be another factor too. So, you know, remember that if we gap up back up to today's high, then we know that we're up against that support turned resistance. So the Qs, of course, those were down 0.03%. So really nothing as far as movement on them. They held up, which allowed some stocks to stay in position. So we're going to look at that one on the daily really quick. It's important to remember where the Qs are and relativity. Okay. See, that's my main concern with the Qs, is that we're not, this could be not an authentic, I guess, is a way you could word that. I'm gonna need to full screen this one. I haven't charted this one in a second, but okay, that's good. That's definitely a good sign here. So what looks to be a potential correction here. One second, sorry. Anyway, sorry. So support right here, coming all the way down from the COVID pullback here back March of last year. That's well respected. We can see multiple wicks off that. Boom, boom. And then here we break that, consolidate underneath it, and it looks like as of yesterday, the Qs have held. So really, you know, making this, we could end up getting a 3-bar play. So we could have another move to the upside. And I honestly think looking at an upside target for the Qs, if that decides to be what trends up, you can see that is exactly where we're at, right? So that's precisely, where we ended the day and where we projected is this previous support, the previous high. So tomorrow we'd like to see a push past that 335.15. So remember that mark. So I'll write all that stuff down. So Qs. Push past that 3. Let me make sure I got that number right. Yeah, so 335. Let me see. So Q, so the upside 335.25. That would be to the upside. I think potential target tomorrow. Yeah, that's definitely a move right there. A potential target tomorrow, which is definitely a bigger move, but could be 339, maybe even tag 340. So 340 would be that other upside target. And that would be kind of stretching 339, 70 or 50 was probably more of a safe target, of course. And then, so 340. How do we look? RSI looks good. Why is my MACD not on here? Okay, so that's another great sign. So we have an RSI that's dead center. We have a MACD that's just starting to roll over to the upside. This all happening on the daily. So could see a potential rebound. Oh, hold on 1 second before I pull it, finish with the cues. That previous high, look at that. Wow, that is so interesting. So that is almost like linear deviation. So we have a little, so really, let me write this back down. So cues, that first target, or that really today's high is where we'd like to see a break if we don't gap up above it. And then after that, we have 337.50. Second target. So why am I going over this? Because if we're deciding which sector has the most room to breathe, we need to figure out where they're going to break to the upside and give us that. So 339.50. Fourth would just be a 50-cent move to 240. So, but should that rebound, this rebound on the cues is not bad. I mean, it could definitely go down a little bit more. I'm trying to be reasonable here as far as like giving it. Okay, I didn't see that. All right, well that's interesting. So a support coming off of September of last year seems to be because you can see it even wicks off of here as well, but that seems to be where we actually did bounce. So there's a small like broadening wedge channel below us underneath that support, but we're back on that support, so we just need to start progressing back up into this range. And so correlating tech stocks are what you could potentially, well obviously would be watching, you know, Microsoft's, Facebook's, Snap's, stuff like that. Roblox, I guess. Another big gaming ETF, I forgot which one that was. And so we got the Qs, got the S&P 500, the Russell. So that one, my friends, in dire need of some love. Didn't have the worst finish. 1 second. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go over BYND tonight because that is one that's popping up on my radar as a potential mover. So the Dow is, in my opinion, in need of a push to the upside. If you look at the MACD, not much strength on that push, on those pushes to the downside. So looking at it here, I still think that this was a decent breakout here. So we may trade flat. We've seen that before, and I've seen that before on the Dow where, you know, it'll break resistance and kind of taper off. So what I'd be looking for here is obviously if we stay above the daily 9-day moving average, in my opinion, obviously be looking for some type of reversal sign, but I think it's just kind of spring loaded. You have a potential crossover with these moving averages here and plenty of room to push to the upside on the RSI. Looking at the volume, same deal. Volume looked a little bit better than it has the last couple of days, except for last week. But this one, in my opinion, still has a good chance. We may have another flat day tomorrow, and then potentially see a breakout. But I'd be looking for a leg up tomorrow on the Dow. Let me go see how we ended the day. Yeah, so that 50-day EMA, it depends on how we open. If we open up around today's resistance 344, then absolutely we could definitely see a push past. But there's also the risk of a head and shoulders here, a little baby one. But the 200-day EMA is closing in on that resistance that turns support. So that would be the target for me if it did decide to pull back. So around that 340 level. All right, so that's about it for the ETFs. So some news. Wow, that's funny. Yo, there's the super flower blood moon. That's hilarious. I just saw that in the news. It's a 2020 only lunar eclipse happens tonight, so don't miss it. The glowing reddish color will appear 14 times bigger and 30 times brighter than normal. That's funny. The flower moon. So flower moons are full moon during springtime. Blood moons, obviously that's not market related. So sorry guys, but that came up on my news. I don't know why. Do you guys know that BIDU, Dubai has put out their own digital currency called Dubai Coin? And the currency can be used as payment for all goods and services, both online and in person. So it's actually one that I've been looking like. It is not decentralized though. I haven't even explored that. I just saw that. That's pretty interesting. Okay, so earnings roundup. Just looking at the earnings. Intuit. That's kind of one that I've been paying attention to going into earnings. Just had my eye. I've seen a lot of, obviously, like tax cut, H&R Block and stuff like that. So this is one that I potentially would like to see move higher. I do see and have seen, the reason why I haven't taken it is an ascending wedge on the hourly time frame here, but they apparently beat earnings, revenue estimates, and raised full year guidance. So definitely a push. They had a strong quarter across the company. The results is they were raising the full year guidance. They had a great tax season, growing their share of total tax returns and executing their strategy of expanding their lead in the DIY category and transforming the assisted category. Small business and self-employed group delivered strong double-digit revenue, and Credit Karma revenue reached all-time high in the quarter. They only went up 5% in after hours, but definitely one that I'm going to be watching. I would like to see a wick fill on that one tomorrow, but that one's relatively expensive, so definitely one to watch. But as a rising wedge, it looks like it's going to pull back. So other than that, we're more I didn't really see anything else as far as earnings was concerned. That was really the only top one that I was looking at. Let's see here. All right, so we're going to start with Roblox. I am most interested in Roblox going into tomorrow. There's a lot of different really interesting setups going into today or tomorrow, but obviously I'm no genie. And I also only have two hands, so I'm only going to be looking for the best setups, in the market. So right now, Roblox had a decent day, enough to kind of cool its RSI off. But if you look at the MACD, there wasn't any strength here. So what I'm looking for is a brief rollover here, and you can see we've lost very little ground in that rollover. That's one of the reasons why I took those trades. I really think we see Roblox back in the $100 range. Those of you who have larger accounts and are looking for shares to buy, This is honestly a company I see going into that 100, 120 range, and even honestly even further. But you know, any earnings, if we run up into earnings, then that would be around the time where I would trim about 75% of it, an equity position for sure. But we have long strikes that we've already signaled and we're already in at the moment, so that's definitely what we're going to be watching and paying close attention to. And here's the deal. I'm prepared to hold my calls because I pretty strong sentiment as far as option flow is concerned. Even a few congressional members making relatively large purchases. Roblox did break out, and a lot of these purchases happened down in the May 21st range, but still I've still seen relatively large orders coming in on the tape, and today was no different. Buyers holding up this level. I think you had a brief short here, but really holding up the level. But tomorrow I will take Roblox while still holding on to my long calls, right? We're safe with the long, and they were still relatively cheap, and if you look, just in my opinion, they were relatively cheap for what they're potentially worth. So below 88.50, that's my 20-day EMA. If I go ahead and just set some levels here so that way it's in the recording. And I'll change this. All right, so we see the support here. I'm gonna go off the wick here. Okay, I like that a little bit better. So the 50-day EMA, if Roblox decides to drop, this right here, right around this range would be my first target, 86.75. And so I'm going to be looking to actively protect and hedge this position going into tomorrow. And it's going to be one of my main focuses going into tomorrow. At some point, my goal is to out trade those contracts. So whatever their worth may be, I would like to obviously protect myself to the downside. So I'm prepared to take it short. I'm prepared to take it long. If we go down to the 15-minute here, maybe get a little bit more detailed. Definitely really, really tight. So it could go either way. This is a bilateral pattern here. So due to the nature of bilateral patterns, we can only look at the signs that we see. Right now, I see consolidation in the top half. A lot of the times, you know, I talk to you guys about that linear deviation or that middle line there. So if I split that in half, or at least split it at the middle, it's not perfect. One second. There's a lot of lines, I know, sorry. Okay, so we're above in that top half, so I still like this one to potentially go long. Really, I think pre-market's gonna, again, I say this every night, but that's just to get you guys prepared. So by chance Roblox gaps down, we know that we could potentially take Roblox short underneath that mark. So you could even say, if you don't, well, we had that marked out on the hourly. So 88.50. You could begin to take a short. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Below that 20-day EMA. That's why I set an alert on the 20-day EMA. There's the 20-day EMA, and then of course set an alert to the upside at 89, or excuse me, let me go back down to the 5-minute. Look at aftermarket. That's awesome. That's awesome that we set up that way. I like that for sure. So let's set an alert at 90.30. At that point, if we close even if it's a 5-minute candle with high volume, I would imagine that we'll see another push on Roblox. So. Garrett's gone poggers. Okay, so Roblox. Another swing trade that I took. I imagine that we'll see 1141. This one has dropped a lot. If that doesn't scream a reversal, I don't know what does. Nice, really fat volume here. It looks like we're going to have a nice MACD rollover. I could see this one easily back in that 1280 range, EDU. That's we took the 12.5 June 18th call. So I do think that those potentially could and will go in the money. 1385 is the first real resistance that I see potentially going forward. Let me mark those out as well. We're going to be setting alerts on that. Small gap to fill starting at 13.25. And what I'd like to do, they were 45 cents, right? So in my opinion, I thought I'll go ahead and buy 4. So I went ahead and snagged 4 of those. And what I'm looking for tomorrow, especially looking at the RSI being so overbought, is I'm just looking for a push and hold above that 9-day moving average. And once they go in the money, if they go in the money, obviously if I see a reversal sign, I'll get out. Then I'm prepared to take off 2 of those contracts. I may even add into strength. Right now it has a resistance at 1110, and then hopefully we'll see a push to 1135 and a break past 1135 on EDU, and you should see a decent push to the upside. So okay, and Tesla. So we need to definitely go over Tesla. What a mess. Unfortunately, all of those are real resistances and supports, so some part of me needs them. Okay, so same deal. We talked about this today, and we'll go down into that lower time frame a little bit. But right now, we're on our 3rd bounce of support, and currently we're in a rising wedge. Normally with, well, it's not coming from an uptrend, but it is a wedge. I guess you could say it's a descending wedge, but in my opinion, if we can see Tesla push 618.50, then there is a chance to have these EMAs cross over. And I talked about this last time. I mean, we're potentially building that rounded bottom. So it could take damn near forever, to actually end up running up to that resistance. And the resistance I see is 665, as discussed. And that's just so slow moving right now. But regardless, it's still building a rounded bottom. We need to keep in mind that a lot of people are still short YouTube, that dude Bray. Yeah, I'll check that out. Yeah. So right now, we had great volume today. Obviously, pull back down to support, and then just chop. So it was really, really difficult to trade this. Obviously, these are hourly candles, so you basically spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours just migrating across support. So in my opinion, now that we've gapped up above the 200-day EMA, it is highly likely that we would at a minimum see a push up to 612.35 and then potentially even running up. And I think we could get stifled or even wick up to hit 620 and then wick right back down underneath this yellow line. That yellow line is my previous resistance on this wedge here, larger time frame wedge. So that's why I have left that there. Alerts that could be set, obviously 610. It's a good place to set an alert. Remember, we're going to be paying attention to how our correlating ETFs are moving. What's the volume like? What's the volatility look like? Bonds, everything. And we'll go over that stuff in the morning. So. Sorry, I'm just writing some of this stuff down. Okay. And of course, below that, I would say 575, but it's going to be hard to get Tesla back down in that range. Michael Burry might be sweating a little bit here, but one more hit of resistance. If we break that, we're on our way to the upside. If not, then see you tomorrow, Tesla. But my mark to the upside, if we end up being highly bullish, because right now we have 1, 2, 3 bounces on support. Normally at that point, you're going to see a breakout. I say this all the time, I'm not a genie, but I do think that that's definitely a probability here. The mark would be 620, 625. Sorry, excuse me, 625.80 would be where I would likely see Tesla hitting. Anywhere past that, we just kind of have to see what the volume looks like. Oh my God. Yes, we're in. Yeah, everything is on YouTube Live. You could literally go and scroll, but then you'd miss what's happening next. I guess you could just rewind me at some point. It's all there. All right. Let's do. Is dim on? Yep. All right. Ugh. Sometimes I gotta. Dim, someone's gotta. If I'm gonna have to for your birthday or something, dude. We gotta send you like an apple cake, like a really slick one that looks like an iPhone or like a MacBook. Okay. Absolutely 100% the same exact story as Tesla. So not much here to decipher except for what is pre-market. Now, there's a little bit of different sentiment here. Obviously, there's more of a herd around Tesla, whereas Apple is a slow-moving, can be dinosaur sometimes. If I was to put my thumb on this right now, I'd probably I don't think I'd take the trade, actually. I think that I would really wait for this breakout. Look, when you see a very small range like this, that's where pulling the hourly up and saying, okay, if I see an hourly close or a break down to 126.50, unless you have the goal to actually short that, in my opinion, you know, if it ended up reversing tomorrow, it didn't show a lot of strength in aftermarket. Tesla, in fact, did. So Apple has definitely could go up and retest or even break 128.30, right? So that's that resistance to the upside. We are very not far. That was a English, please. We're not far at all from our nearest. Right. Yes, I know. I do the bad news first, the good news second. So, 126.57, right? So that's or 50, excuse me. That's going to be that mark. Retest would be at 127, right? So you be careful of chop. If you see something like this, a reversal around this range, just wait for that candle and then take it from there. I mean, if you see the rejections on Apple here previously, you get 1, 2, 3, basically 4 ticks to the downside on the hourly. So there's definitely a lot of room to run. If we're looking at potential levels for Apple, they're pretty much the same as today on live trading in the Discord. Let's see here. Yeah, that's definitely. So 2 levels underneath you. The break of 120, obviously the one that 126.50, right? So we want to see a nice break of that 120.60 mark. The first level dim, in my opinion, will be 126.80 or 125.85. 125.85, and then below that, I would say 125.35. You have very obvious respected supports. Let's go out to the daily here. Sorry, I'm trying to get an idea of where support is. 126 even is the daily 9-day. This is why it's important to zoom out. Is the daily 9-day moving average dim. That's where you would want to really load up on your gunpowder and sit on cash for just a small amount of time, and just wait for that trade to come to you, because we're at, and I'll go ahead and just delete this mess right here really quick. So we are at or underneath, right? Underneath the 50, on top of the 9. We've broken downtrend, but we're basically up against linear deviation, right? We want to see a candle open up above that 50-day EMA for sure. Do you want this chart here, or do you want the lower time frame chart? I'll post that for you if you want, or both. Okay. So this is what's most important here. So like I said, to the upside, 120, 128, 128.40. Daily shows, and this is what one of the points I was going to bring up. The daily shows it wants to roll over to the upside. So that, and if you think about it, Apple has been trading flat for 4 days straight. It needs to make a move. So that's what we're looking for here, is we're going to wait for this trade to come to us. We don't want to force a trade, because you guys saw what happened to me on Space. It was a washing machine. Luckily, I was in profit early, and I was able to cut my losses, but regardless, it still was demoralizing, to say the least. It hurted it. 9-day moving average 126. So set that alert. Your target to the downside, if we break that 9-day moving average, would likely be 124.50. So let's go back down to the hourly. I'm addicted to. Okay, 125.60 or 124.65 is a level underneath that as well, and then finally 124. Or excuse me. $123.35. So this can go either way. Like I said, bilateral. So look at it to the upside as well. Same thing. Above 128, that you could potentially see that break of resistance that we're talking about. Of course, the wick fills. The first target after that would be 128.62. I would say that most reasonable and strong support is right at 130. Of course, that's a psychological number. So if you break out to the upside, 130, and we talked about this last week or Sunday, the potential to the upside, right? The target there was around 131.15, and then to the downside, we have that 123.85 range potentially. So, and I will post this. Do you want me to post it here, or what do you? There you go. Daily. Yeah, 128 is going to be a really big level. Yeah, so it's messy to somebody who doesn't know, but if obviously if you need me to clean it up, let me know and I'll do that. But the MACD is what is really like that daily MACD shows a lot of want to roll over and cross over to the upside. So we could see with volume, and if SPY can get a break. And there's the daily. All right, so we got Apple, Tesla, Roblox. I think for sure, yeah. Oh. Okay, so this is one that we took a put on. So just from a technical standpoint, this is never a good sign whenever you have, the gap up and then you get a pullback, basically losing. I mean, you could say it's not even 50% of the gains, but the game, most of the gains were lost as of yesterday. So honestly, 55.61 seems like a relatively good target to the downside. One thing that I noticed on INTC is when it decides, or when it goes down, man, it goes down hard. And so I'm not quite too sure if we'll see the same thing here, but I do suspect that we will pull back at least one more time. Right now, let me draw a trend line. So my target, if we continue to fall, will be 54.85. So looking for the break of 56 to kind of make that happen. Looking at the hourly time frame, big old short coming in here, right at the bell, flat line. So definitely probable. The 56.25 support, that'll be, if we lose that 56.25, then I think that this play will absolutely play out in our favor. So if you're in those INTC puts. I'm gonna go over ride.
EDU Roblox.
Of course. So much to my surprise, ride has right over resistance. That's the only adjective I can, or way I can describe that. It has over resistance, just barely farted over it. I don't even know what to say about it. So it just shows just nothing there. But with earnings, obviously we had that really sharp downtick. A lot of people talking about shorting it. I even thought we could potentially see lower lows, but apparently the CEO said some stuff that helped lift it back up. So we are really weakly breaking downtrend. When I see a weak break of downtrend, we'll go over coin. That's a good one to go over. So I'm going to go over, I'm just writing down all the tickers that I'm going over, so that way I can remember what the hell I say. Coin. Okay. Just throw your tickers down, I'm going to write them down. Okay. Right, so really just I'm just playing this from technicals. I'd like to see both of these push and bounce off of that resistance, that downtrend that we broke. I'd like to see that happen, and I'd like to see 912 is where that mark is at. You do have a MACD rollover to the upside, but it's just abysmal volume. I mean, you had this little flag set up here, but I've also seen weak breakouts like this completely reverse. So if this could end up being a short play, right? So take this to go from both sides of the coin here. You could end up potentially seeing, if it breaks back down, then it would more than likely go all the way back down to support. Breaking up to the upside, past that 50-day EMA there, which is a pretty big support there, also a resistance that we broke previously. So let me actually pull that down. Perfect. So that's basically the 200-day EMA. Right above that we have 925. Let me just mark these out. Hmm. $10.50. I don't know. I wouldn't personally take the trade, but that's just not something with bad earnings, it's liable to get shorted at any point, and you could just lose your butt. All right, let's go to coin. Yes, I think you could absolutely see continuation on coin tomorrow. You ended not relatively, but you ended rather bullishly. You kind of tapered off towards the end of the day. Remember, yeah, for real. Coin is that boy. But I think that a push to the 200-day EMA, that's 250. I think at a minimum tomorrow, we could see that 250 mark. So let me pull this back up. Yeah, that here. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, So 250, that's the hourly 200-day EMA. The RSI is the only thing that's a bit cooked out here. You could see another run up into it. Doesn't mean it's over. The MACD is starting to slow down. So if you did end up getting one last push, I think 250 is a reasonable target. But that would kind of put you up as a rounded bottom candidate. If you look at the daily, we are attempting a break above the 9-day moving average. If we're looking at what looks to be the first baby trend here, oh yeah. Oh yeah, sounds like a Kool-Aid man. So 261.50 is honestly a decent place. Obviously, a lot of these EMAs, they don't even exist yet because there's not enough data in order to do so. All right. Sheesh! Look at that chart. Can you tell we've fought a battle and lost it? All right. So it looks like we got our bounce, but my God, does this look like a massive Head and Shoulders. Massive. Very sharp pull down. It looks like they want to take this company down, and I really hope they don't, but I gotta play the chart. Not my feelings for Lisa Sue. Lisa. So, right off the bat here, there is a gap to fill. Right here. Alright, so with that gap to fill here on AMD, and a really strong downtrend. Look at the earnings correction. I don't count earnings when I'm charting. Just keep that in mind. So you could have a bounce out that would potentially save it, but this right here is speaking volumes. Definitely shorts taking place at that 200-day moving average on the daily. You do have a 9-day moving average that is trying to curl back over to the upside. So there is that potential you get one more sharp bounce. Let's see, $80, 80, 85. You could get that bounce there. If you get that bounce there, then there's the potential you could see. I mean, really, you have a support. You have the main support at 74. And then right underneath that, you have the support at 73.13. Volume was relatively high today and has been the last couple of days. So that's something to keep in mind whenever you have volume starting to rise. It's a bit sporadic, but there's definitely still room for the RSI to go either way. So we're just going to have to pay close attention to this one. We know where the resistance is at. We know what the daily looks like. I mean, you could call this, I think if I went to the weekly here, yeah, so this is a weekly Head and Shoulders, really more than a daily Head and Shoulders. 95 is where the shorts have staked their claim. And if they're short, then we could potentially see a little bit more of a leg down. If you look at the MACD on the weekly, it's starting to lose a little bit of selling strength. So we'll see. But right now, the pattern and the setup looks relatively bearish. So I probably wouldn't look to take it as like a long-term play quite yet. I love AMD. I think it's a good company, but I'm not a market maker yet. I'm gonna be an anti-market maker when I do become one. I'm gonna just slip and fall and accidentally short my own company's stock. Just get a job at an oil company. Okay. So let's see here. What else did we have? Any requests? BIDU? What does that do? Who are they? I tell you what, man. What a pain in the butt, though. So, it's been a while since I've looked at them, but if I'm not mistaken, and let me go double check. I did not do BYND. We'll take a look at that one as well. We're gonna look at BYND, look at Game, look at AMC, look at some potential penny runners going into tomorrow. So we'll take a look at those. PR, the one that Atlas took today, I saw that on Twitter talked this morning, and I didn't, man, the issue, you know, is like, you obviously build a trading plan, and then you're also looking for volatility as a scalper, because a scalper, you know, PIRS, yeah, sorry, but what did I say, PRPS? PIRS, thank you, Kenneth. He's like my personal dyslexia doctor aid, man. But anyway, so it looks to me, and I'm gonna go double check this though, that we have a potential Black Crow. Hold on a second, let me go look. Handy dandy notebook. So I mean, these are relatively neutral. So here's my. Right now, I'm kind of done. I'm done playing BIDU until the trade. I'm gonna let the trade come to me. So right now, it's pretty easy. On the daily, I'm setting an alert at 196.30 and or the 200-day EMA. That's staying on. We break the 200-day EMA, I'll take a look at it. I will say that within the wedge that BIDU is in, right, and looking at after-hours movement on BIDU, I'm ready to take a trade on BIDU. I'm not going to just get... It's one of those stocks that I focus on, right? Because I know how it moves until it doesn't. So that being said, you know, we're honestly looking at after hours movement. If we can get that push above the 200-day EMA, then we'll see that move. Hold on one second. Hello? Hey. You guys are here? Oh, you're on the way? Alright, we'll see you soon. Alright, bye. Sorry. Alright, we're gonna have to speed it up. Okay, so within this wedge here, BIDU, you can see in after hours, had a decent push up. So we'll watch this one at that 200-day moving average at 195.50, right? We'll look up to take that potentially the upside. 197.41 for sure. So we're gonna keep a tight eye on that one. But look at the RSI. It jumps up just a little bit, and look how reactive it is. Immediately jumping into that overbought and then pulling back immediately. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow. If it could end up, if you didn't notice, everything looks like this. That jump up, pull back, flat. And that's kind of what we're dealing with here. When we look at the MACD, we want to see a bullish cross, but also the slope. When you mention the MACD slowing, that is just a function of the MACD slope. Exactly. That is exactly what I mean. So this is it like that's where I'm like, okay, look at the MACD rising. It's showing strength right when it starts to flatten out, right? When you get two candles, one's a little lower, that's about the time where you look to take profit. Now, you know, obviously higher time frames are a little bit better, but the slope of it here, that's a weak rollover, right? Not much of a slope, but you can see when we get those the righteous slopes, they do quite well. So, okay, so let's do BYND. Start with the daily, of course. Yes, nice movement. That price target that we talked about in the last live, I still think that stands. I still think you go hit 125. I think if somebody had, I mean, this is a part of options, right? You wait for the bell. It has so much room to run to the upside. It has had, oh God, it's had the ever-living fake meat slapped out of it. It's just been wrecked. And I mean, what did we drop from? 218. So significant drop. Damn, it looks like BIDU. Honestly, think BIDU might move to the upside now that I'm like looking at a lot of different charts. I'm like, all right, this many candles at the bottom, you know, at some point it's just not going to go any lower. But anyway, we're above the 20. Most stocks finished with a red candle rather than it pushing up. They were pushing down around the same setup or candle wise as far as daily, but this is green and we have decent volume here as well. Decent, not great like yesterday, but decent. So I think the first target past 121.40 would be, one second, would be that 125 mark. Right now, the 50-day EMA on the daily is at 124. Let's go look at the weekly really quick. I want to see what we got. Okay, so the 9-day moving average is at 123 on the dot. So that's another resistance that we'll look at. Strong. Second resistance daily, 124.36. All right, BIDU, BYND. Okay. Oh shit. I think 125s for next week might be a riskier play, but if you take it past that mark on the weekly, that what did I say? What is the 9 there? 122.75. So safe target to exit most the majority would be 124.33. Okay. MACD on the weekly wants to roll over. The RSI on the weekly wants to push up. Daily looks good to roll over already. RSI has plenty of room to run. I could see it all the way back into the 145s if we end up overbought. Looking at the hourly we've held strong. Let me look at the 5. Yeah, it looks good. So really 120 is where pre-market hit, 120.69. So tomorrow we're going to watch this one tight. We're going to pay attention to where the RSI is at. This could be a bellhopper, right? Manny will likely trade this one. So if he trades this one, this is one that I'll be looking to potentially scalp as well. It had lower volume today, so we'd like to see, and that had a lot to do with the market. It started with decent volume and then ended with some doo-doo, so we'll see shortly. Oh, neck. All right, and let's get to ye old GameStop. Oh, hold on one second. Before I move forward. Did everybody get those levels? 124, yeah, okay, you guys got those. Yeah, that's really the only ones that we need to pay attention here to. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so GameStop. A lot of corrections, yeah, a lot of corrections happening. And that's one of the reasons we're not getting a lot of continuation. And that's affecting a lot of day traders. Well, really everything that we do, is based on trying to gain or ride off of that continuation. But, a correction isn't a straight line. It's not a market crash. It's not, even a bear market is different than a correction. A lot of people don't know that, but a correction is a little bit more sharper, a little bit more fake outs, a lot more standard deviation trading where you're jumping in, or standard deviation channels, and you're just continuing to bounce and make lower lows. So, all right, so here on GameStop, it's an absolute garbage pan mess. So we're gonna delete this. Start from our high. So obviously we broke downtrend. Sat flat. I think institutions loading the boat there. And looking at a multitude of different resistances, and this is real. GameStop has those. So that 217 mark, definitely one place to pay attention to. I had this charted. Hold on a second. Yeah, I did post a video on this on my YouTube if you guys want to check that one out. But the levels that I have right now, hold on one second. 224 on the dot. So watch that one. 224. Let me pull that one down. Let's see, where else did I set? I set one at 232.25. And that's really where I think the maximum capacity as far as running up could potentially look like. I don't know if we'll break any higher than that. If we pull back, I think 199.85, but definitely big volume today. The one thing, the anomaly here is that we have earnings. So that could also change a lot of different factors there. So. Okie dokie. Let's see here. I'm curious. Honestly, I thought about grabbing puts for game. You know what? I haven't bought alcohol in like a month, so I'll buy a put on GameStop. Let me go look at the chain first before I go crazy. For earnings. If it's too expensive, I'm not going to. Minimal risk. Fuck no. I'd have to go with a weekly on that, and I'm not doing it. You know what? I'll get a 160. Really risky, honestly. I'm taking this on my large account, so. Okay. And AMC. AMC has more probability, like the probability of them actually breaking out is relatively higher, in my opinion. Especially looking at the volume, we've already pushed earnings. And people are pretty fucking bullish on movie theaters. It would be awful to have that be a part of a short on this one, and if they don't get you'll know whether or not they're trying to get a handle on this one, right? Because if they don't want this one at least run, $17 is our next mark, right? You break $17, you have a big ass gap to fill all the way to 1985. Where did that accent come from? 1985. So you have a MACD roll over here. The volume, nice. Looking at the hourly time frame here, it looks like it's riding on its 9-day moving average. So use that 9 and the 20. So maybe your 20 is your like absolute stop loss, or where you could play to the downside and take profit. Yes, AMC looks like it could potentially pull back tomorrow, probably coming back down to around 15.85, or just simply pulling back to 16.15, and then from there we could see a bounce. So I'll go ahead and set an alert there, set an alert there. Alrighty, any last requests? I'm going to go ahead and hop off here. We will be, yes, I see your Facebook. I just saw you said, Alex. Yeah, I've never seen this side of me either. Yeah, well... Man's got to gamble sometimes, huh? I mean, if it pays, it pays. I'm in the business of having the market pay me, so. I don't apply that same concept to my everyday life, but. Alright, so remember what we talked about. Yeah, I've seen Manny swing it. It's just he always gets the wrong ones. Like one time I was like, yeah, I'm going to swing eBay. And this man just comes in last minute and he literally is like, all right, I'm going to take your eBay swing. Watch this. Watch this. Watch live trading. Watch what he says. Watch this. You probably know exactly. Oh, he said bye. We don't speak. See, that was the swing. He knows exactly what I'm talking about, and that was one where I was on the Kramer's show for this event, right? Like I called into the show. I wasn't on the show, but I called into the show, and I was asking about eBay. I was genuinely curious, and man, this shit just. He was like, I love it. You got horses. And this shit just dumped. So, it was pretty funny. That's so funny. He immediately responded and knew exactly what I was talking about. Okay, so. Guys, I'm writing this stuff down. So if you guys aren't writing down what we're talking about, like, just have it on a piece of paper so you can see it. It will help. Try it. If you don't like it, try it in a car. If you don't like it in a car, try it in a train. Try it in a plane. All right, here. Facebook daily. Remember, the cues. That's our most... We already talked about the cues. If you need to go over that part, just hop on there. But... the cues are up against resistance. That's why Facebook could not make another extension up, even though the volume was did really well. So, in my opinion, you have a MACD rollover to the upside. I think Facebook is another really good trade for tomorrow. I would say I'd put fucking 3 stars on that for a potential trade with cues. 151. What is that? At Joyful Brunch. I'm really confused. Oh shit! You must have typed that in the wrong thing. So 327.79 is where we ended the day. Did in with the doji. If we start pulling back tomorrow, guys, we have a hell of a lot of room to pull back. And what that could potentially look like, right, is back down here, the 9-day moving average likely coming right around here. You may even see another tap and then a leg, maybe a leg back up. Otherwise, if we can end up moving past this 329 mark right here, which I would recommend setting alert at, then I imagine you could go and take a crack at 330, right? And then 331.95, which is, if I'm not mistaken, all-time highs. So weekly looks really good. Weekly looks great. Weekly looks really great. So no straight lines. If you see right here, we look at the similarities in this chart, right? But so I mean, if you're gonna make that next leg up, I would say it's gonna happen relatively soon. So, but all right, guys, you guys have a wonderful evening. I gotta go ahead and hop off. Hit me with any questions. If you guys have any tickers that might be similar, like interesting, that you guys want me to take a look at, shoot those in the DM or tag me. Maybe in just tag me somewhere, wherever you want. DM me, whatever you want to do. Smoke signals. It'll work. All right, guys. Thank you for your time. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Yep. Have a good evening, you guys. Make sure to stay rested when you wake up. Remember that you are a human first, not a stock trading robot. So, we've got a plan for anxiety too. So, all right, guys. Night.